The divine interruption, when God teaches through stillness. Chosen one, stop, not gently, not later, not after one more scroll. Stop now, because what you are experiencing is not a motivational pause. It is not a dramatic setup. It is a spiritual intervention. Take one breath, hold it, release it. That shift you felt, that softening, that subtle quiet in your chest, that is called awareness. And awareness is the beginning of wisdom. In the book of Psalms it says, "Be still and know that I am God." Stillness is not inactivity. It is perception sharpening. When noise reduces, clarity increases. Most people never develop spiritually because they never pause long enough to observe themselves. They live in reaction mode, responding to messages, defending opinions, replaying conversations, anticipating threats. But formation requires interruption. Why God interrupts. In the book of 1 Kings, when Elijah expected God in power and spectacle, God appeared in a whisper. Why? Because whispering requires closeness. God does not isolate randomly. He separates strategically. There is a psychological principle called cognitive overload. When the brain processes too much input, it loses discernment. Spiritually, the same rule applies. Too much noise numbs revelation. So when you feel withdrawn lately, when you feel less talkative, less reactive, less available, it is not depression. It is compression before expansion. A seed underground looks buried, but it is not buried. It is planted, and planting requires darkness. Fragile in formation. You feel sensitive lately. Not weak, sensitive. That is because formation is delicate. When metal is being forged, it is heated and shaped. During that phase, it cannot endure impact. Later, it becomes strong enough to carry weight. Right now, you are being forged. In the book of Genesis, Joseph was separated from family, misunderstood, falsely accused, imprisoned. But that separation preserved him. Had he remained comfortable, he would not have been positioned for influence. God does not remove you from environments because you failed. He removes you because you are evolving. The testing of your spirit. Let's talk education. You have been provoked recently. Someone reopened old topics. Someone mentioned your past version. Someone pressed subtle emotional buttons. This is not random. There is a principle in behavioral psychology called trigger conditioning. When someone references your past, they are attempting to activate your former identity. But identity evolves. You are not required to respond as your old self. In the Gospel of Matthew, after baptism, Jesus Christ was tempted immediately. Why attack after affirmation? Because transition is vulnerable. When you shift identity, opposition increases, not to destroy you, but to test your stability. The power of non-reaction education moment. Every reaction strengthens a pattern. Neuroscience teaches that repeated emotional responses create neural pathways. The more you react defensively, the easier defense becomes. The more you stay calm, the stronger calm becomes. Silence rewires your brain. In leadership theory, this is called emotional regulation. Spiritually, it is called self-control, listed as fruit of the Spirit in the Epistle to the Galatians. When you do not react, you break old wiring. You collapse manipulation cycles. You refuse emotional bait. And that confuses those who expected the old version of you. Why people feel uncomfortable around you. Here is advanced understanding. Predictability makes people comfortable. When you change, people must recalibrate their expectations. Some will celebrate your growth. Others will resist it. They try to resurrect who you used to be because familiarity feels safe to them. But resurrection belongs to God, not to nostalgia. You are not obligated to entertain outdated access. Boundaries are not punishment. They are protection. Spiritual quarantine. Explained. You feel guarded. Your energy feels limited. Your tolerance feels precise. Your circle feels smaller. That is not social dysfunction. That is spiritual filtration. During global health crises, quarantine prevents contamination. Spiritually, quarantine protects formation. In the book of Job, Job was discussed in heaven before attacked on earth. This teaches something profound. Spiritual growth is observed before it is tested. You are not under pressure because you are failing. You are under pressure because you are progressing. Silence as authority. When Jesus Christ stood before Pontius Pilate, accused publicly, he did not defend extensively. Why? Because some accusations are not meant to be answered. They are meant to be endured. Authority does not argue. Authority stands. Calmness in chaos signals maturity. When you refuse to explain yourself endlessly, you are not being arrogant. You are conserving alignment, discernment, the upgrade. You are developing discernment. Discernment is not suspicion. It is perception sharpened by stillness. It is the ability to feel when something is off, leave without needing closure, recognize misalignment early. In psychology, this is called pattern recognition. Spiritually, it is a gift, and gifts require stewardship. Noise weakens discernment. Silence strengthens it. Transition is dangerous. You are between identities, not who you were, not fully who you are becoming. This space is unstable because it is transformative. Caterpillars dissolve before becoming butterflies. That dissolution looks messy, but mess is part of metamorphosis. If the enemy cannot destroy you, he will provoke you. If he cannot stop your growth, he will distract it. One emotional outburst can delay months of progress. One unnecessary explanation can reopen closed doors. That is why God interrupted you, not to silence you permanently, to protect your momentum. What is coming next? Here is the deeper education. When God prepares to shift your environment, He first shifts your inner posture. Before elevation comes regulation. Before exposure comes stability. Before influence comes discipline. God is preparing to expose hidden motives, reveal misaligned relationships, confirm direction, close disguised distractions. But revelation requires emotional clarity. If you are reactive, you will misinterpret instruction. If you are wounded, you will mistrust guidance. If you are noisy internally, you will miss subtle direction. So heaven said, pause. Practical instruction. What do you do in this season? Speak less. Observe more. Journal reactions instead of expressing them immediately. Protect your sleep. Filter conversations. Respond, don't react. Pray before replying. This is not weakness. This is strategy. Stillness is obedience. Educational truth. Growth feels lonely before it feels powerful, because the old environment no longer fits, and the new one has not fully arrived. That gap feels like isolation, but it is incubation. In the book of Isaiah, it says, "Those who wait upon the Lord renew their strength." Waiting is not passive. Waiting is strengthening unseen muscles. Final reflection of part chosen one. Your silence is not weakness. Your peace is not delay. Your stillness is alignment. You are not losing connections. You are refining them. You are not shrinking. You are focusing. You are not behind. You are being prepared. Take another breath. Feel the calm. That calm is not emptiness. It is readiness. Heaven interrupted you for a reason, and this is only the beginning. Discernment. When God exposes without you speaking. Chosen one. Stay still, because what feels confusing right now is actually clarification happening in slow motion. You thought something was wrong. You thought maybe you were overthinking. You wondered if you were becoming distant, colder, less tolerant. But what is happening is this: your spirit is being trained. The education of discernment. Discernment is not suspicion. Suspicion assumes guilt. Discernment detects misalignment. There is a difference. In the first epistle to the Corinthians, Paul the Apostle speaks about spiritual discernment, the ability to judge rightly. But discernment is not only spiritual, it is psychological. Your brain is designed to recognize patterns. When someone consistently twists your words, reopens healed wounds, minimizes your growth, makes jokes about your progress, shifts energy, when you elevate, your nervous system notices before your mind admits it. That discomfort you feel, that hesitation, that inner something's off, that is not negativity, that is perception sharpening, and God is teaching you to trust it. Why relationships shift before elevation. Before promotion comes separation. Look at David in the first book of Samuel. Before he became king, he was misunderstood by family, hunted by leadership, isolated in caves, surrounded by misfits. Elevation often looks like exile first. Why? Because environments must match identity. If you remain in a space that only understands your past, it will resist your future. Some people are uncomfortable not because you harmed them, but because you outgrew the version of yourself they preferred. And growth feels like betrayal to those who benefited from your smallness. The psychology of provocation. Now, let's educate deeper. Provocation is intentional emotional triggering, designed to pull you back into an old identity. The enemy does not always attack your strength. He attacks your transition, because transition is where identity reshapes. In the Gospel of Luke, when Jesus Christ was tempted, the enemy said, "If you are the Son of God." Notice the strategy. Attack identity. Because if identity is shaken, behavior follows. You have felt identity pressure lately. Right now, your season is containment. Containment is not restriction. It is preservation. Like wine fermenting, growth requires closed space. If exposed too early, it spoils. Your next assignment is sensitive. Your next level requires stability, and stability requires silence. You are not meant to prove anything right now. You are meant to prepare. Heaven and hell, watching you, are in a visible transition in the unseen realm. In the book of Job, Job's faithfulness was discussed before his testing began. That tells us something profound. Growth draws attention. But attention is not always opposition. Sometimes it is confirmation. If you are feeling pressure, it is because you are expanding. Pressure reveals structure. If you collapse under small provocation, you are not ready for larger responsibility. But if you remain steady, calm, aligned, discerning, then promotion becomes safe. God will not elevate instability. So he strengthens composure first. The energy shift you feel. Your energy feels guarded. You feel selective, less available, more observant. That is not social withdrawal. That is filtration. When water is filtered, impurities are removed. You are filtering conversations, filtering environments, filtering access. Access is sacred. Not everyone deserves access to your developing identity. Exposure without confrontation. Here is the powerful truth. You will not need to expose anyone. God will. Motives reveal themselves over time. Character leaks under pressure. Intentions surface under silence. When you stop reacting, manipulators lose leverage. When you stop explaining, insecure people lose hooks. When you stop defending, gossip loses oxygen. Silence suffocates false narratives. The upgrade in posture. You used to react quickly. Now you pause. You used to over-explain. Now you observe. You used to chase clarity. Now you trust timing. That is maturity. Maturity is not loud. It is steady. And steady people intimidate unstable systems. What to do? Practically, education requires application. Here is your discipline for this season. Delay responses by at least 10 minutes when emotional. Write feelings privately before speaking publicly. Observe patterns before confronting people. Ask, is this worth my peace? If you must speak, speak once, calmly, without repetition. Do not argue with someone committed to misunderstanding you. Protect your mornings from noise. These practices build internal authority. Preparation for direction. Something is coming. Not chaos, not collapse. Direction. Clarity about where to go, who to release, what to pursue, what to ignore. But direction requires a clean spirit. If you are emotionally entangled, you will misinterpret guidance. If you are reactive, you will sabotage opportunity. So heaven said, pause. Be still. Let formation finish. Final reflection of part chosen 1. You are not becoming distant. You are becoming discerning. You are not isolating. You are incubating. You are not losing people. You are losing misalignment. You are not behind. You are being prepared. Stay calm. Stay quiet. Stay aligned. God is exposing without you speaking. And what is meant for you cannot be delayed by silence. Identity. Stabilization. Why silence accelerates destiny. Chosen 1. You are closer than you think. Not to applause, not to validation, not to recognition, but to alignment. And alignment is more powerful than visibility. Right now, what feels like slowness is actually stabilization. And stabilization is necessary before elevation. Why God stabilizes before He sends in architecture. No building rises without foundation inspection. In aviation, no aircraft takes off without system calibration. In spirituality, no calling unfolds without identity stabilization. In the book of Isaiah, when the prophet receives his calling, the first thing that happens is purification, not promotion. Before assignment comes refinement. You are being refined, not publicly, internally, because destiny without stability becomes self-destruction. The danger of premature exposure. Let's educate deeply. Premature exposure ruins potential. A fruit picked too early is bitter. A child handed responsibility too soon feels crushed. A leader elevated without discipline becomes corrupted. In the book of Genesis, when Joseph shared his dreams too early, it triggered jealousy. The dream was real. The timing was wrong. Not every revelation needs announcement. Not every instruction needs sharing. Not every shift needs explanation. Silence protects gestation. You feel like speaking sometimes, explaining, declaring, announcing your shift. But heaven whispers, not yet. Because exposure before stabilization invites unnecessary resistance. Identity must settle. Right now, your new identity is forming. Not the identity people gave you. Not the identity you performed. Not the identity built from trauma. But the identity built from discernment. You are no longer driven by reaction. You are no longer energized by chaos. You are no longer motivated by proving. That is stabilization. In the Epistle to the Ephesians, identity is described as being rooted and grounded. Roots grow downward before branches expand upward. If growth is only visible and not rooted, it collapses in wind. You are growing roots, and roots grow in hidden places. Silence as acceleration. This is advanced truth. Silence does not delay destiny. It accelerates it. Why? Because silence eliminates distraction, reduces emotional leakage, increases focus, sharpens discernment, preserves energy. Energy is currency. Where you spend attention, you spend life. If you waste energy defending yourself, you have less to build your future. If you waste energy arguing, you have less to execute purpose. When you conserve energy, momentum builds internally, and internal momentum leads to external movement. The weight of what is coming. You feel pressure lately. That pressure is not punishment, it is preparation. Weight training works by resistance. If a muscle never carries weight, it never strengthens. You are carrying internal weight right now. Emotional restraint, controlled speech, observed patterns, unspoken clarity. This weight is building capacity. In the second epistle to the Corinthians, it speaks of an eternal weight of glory. Glory has weight. Responsibility has weight. Influence has weight. God is strengthening your emotional spine so you can carry what is next without collapsing. How to know. When it's time to move, education requires discernment. How will you know when silence shifts into action? 3 signs. Peace replaces pressure. Clarity replaces confusion. Opportunity aligns without force. When action requires manipulation, it is premature. When action flows with peace, it is alignment. In the book of Ecclesiastes, it says, "There is a time to speak and a time to remain silent." Wisdom is knowing which season you are in. Right now, you are in the rooting season. Why people may misinterpret you. When you become quiet, some will assume you are distant, you are upset, you are arrogant, you are disengaged. But internal growth often looks like external withdrawal. You are not withdrawing from purpose. You are withdrawing from distraction. Do not let misinterpretation push you back into noise. Maturity tolerates misunderstanding without collapsing. In the Gospel of John, even Jesus Christ was misunderstood repeatedly. Truth does not panic when misinterpreted. The discipline of contained power. Power that is uncontained is destructive. Electricity without wiring burns. Water without boundaries floods. Authority without discipline corrupts. You are learning containment. Containment means you can react, but choose not to. You can speak, but wait. You can confront, but discern timing. You can expose, but let God handle it. Contained power intimidates chaos. Chaos feeds on reaction. Silence starves it. Spiritual attention. You feel watched spiritually, not in fear, in significance. In the book of Daniel, unseen realms observed earthly faithfulness. Your consistency matters beyond visibility. Every time you choose peace over panic, discipline over defense, silence over spectacle, you build spiritual authority. Authority is not volume, it is stability under pressure. The collapse of old patterns. Notice something. Certain arguments no longer escalate. Certain triggers no longer ignite. Certain people lose interest when you don't react. That is pattern collapse. When a behavior stops being rewarded, it extinguishes. Psychology confirms this. Reinforcement sustains behavior. When you remove reinforcement, patterns dissolve. Your silence is breaking cycles, generations long, and that is powerful. The sensitivity of your next assignment. Your next season is not casual. It carries responsibility. It may involve leadership, influence, vision, direction, or simply peace at a higher level. But whatever it is, it requires emotional mastery. God does not elevate instability. He fortifies first. So when you feel stretched, tested, pressured, remember, it is capacity building. What to guard? Right now. Guard your mouth, your morning routine, your thoughts, your emotional responses, your sleep, your spiritual discipline. These are foundation layers. When foundation is strong, elevation is safe. The internal confirmation. Take a breath. Notice something. You are calmer than before, not because life is easier, but because you are steadier. Steadiness is a sign of stabilization. You are no longer easily shaken, and that is growth. Final reflection of part chosen 1. You are not delayed. You are being fortified. You are not hidden. You are being rooted. You are not ignored. You are being prepared. Silence is not absence. It is acceleration. Stillness is not stagnation. It is strategy. Containment is not restriction. It is protection. The foundation is almost set, and when the structure rises,